quest rogue that's in there, trying to be this control buster.
With stalling out, once the quest is active, they can definitely survive a few turns with the removal tools that they have, and then it doesn't take them long to be pushing counter-lethal on their own right. And similar thing, I guess, with the dual OTK Paladin. We saw that matchup get played out in the previous series, and it was, I believe, Noblord just about able to get over the line with the Paladin.
And this is a big match, too, a decider match for these two. If you lose this one, you are going home, but if you win, you are finding yourself at a championship. And for Nalguidan here, this would be his 3rd championship appearance in just 4 seasons.
It would. Bobbyex, significantly less experienced, though. This is his 2nd visit even to a playoff, so he's got a pretty good hit rate, making top 8 so far. Actually practiced for this one with 2 players who have had a huge amount of success, Tare and Sohyun coming through, and also has a top 8 in Oakland in his history as well.
That is a massive amount of difference there. You know, you're looking at, I practiced for this, so this is my 2nd Hearthstone Championship Tour appearance where playoffs are concerned. Now Nalguidan, he's like, ah.
Old hat, been there, done that, got the t-shirt twice. Literally, you do get a t-shirt.
In terms of South American play, Nalguidan has been the rising star to come from that region. I don't think that anyone has really, you know, come close in the world really to accomplishing what he has in the last year or so.
And it looks like
pretty tough.
Bobbyex spent his early rounds just crushing our dreams. He took out my pick, PNC, in round 1, and then your pick, Firebat, in round 2 straight afterwards.
Yeah, and it's not been a kind road for him as well. I mean, the playoffs, they seem to get better and better every single time, and Bobbyex able to take down a number of names here going undefeated through the Swiss rounds.
Yeah, but then crucially, although he beat Ike in the Swiss rounds, he then lost in the opening round to put himself in this position in the lower side of the bracket, whereas Ike has gone through. And Nalguidan now, his road through, killing all day on there. He picked up an early loss, but was able to go through clean from there, including 3 zeros over championship competitors, Just Saying and Ant along the way.
Yeah, this is also just a stacked group that Nalguidan had to fight to get to this point. And here we are now. None of that matters anymore. We are down to our final match for these two. For one of them, it's the last match they will ever play in our current Hearthstone Championship Tour system.
You gotta stop it. It's hurting me too
much. It's all TJ's fault. He's the one who pointed it out to me.
Yeah, it's true. So we haven't talked too much about the matchup so far. Even Paladin versus this hybrid hunter. How do we feel about Even Paladin? We've had kind of 2 weeks now of it there being a smattering of Even Paladin throughout both weeks. How do you feel about the performance of Even Paladin in this matchup in particular?
All right, I got a hot take here for you.
All right.
So Even Warlock's decent deck, but it's a little too fair. Doesn't really pack that punch that ends the game. Doesn't have a lot of recovery tools. Even Paladin's the new Even Warlock.
Ooh.
It's just a solid thing to do consistently, and it's got the potential to come back from behind and end the game when you're ahead.
That is kind of a hot take. I didn't know what I was expecting. You know, like on Twitter, someone will say, oh, I've got a hot take, and it's like lukewarm at best. It's like a tepid take.
Pineapple's really not that bad on pizza.
Yeah, right. It's like, great. Thanks for the update.
Yeah, you could put like candy wrappers and banana peels on it and taste fine.
Unfollow, mute. Learn to have opinions, idiot. But no, that was quite good. Enjoyed it.
I just feel like it's where it's at. You know, turns like this are where you're going to struggle, but again, there's recovery potential. I'm looking at Corpse Taker. I'm looking at Spike Ridge Steeds in pairs. Those are the kinds of cards you need to come from behind in these situations. And still sitting at 30 health, Spellstone here for Nalguidan means more about trying to get ahead than actually taking advantage of the fact that you are. Does not have lifesteal on the Corpse Taker, important to note, so Bobbyex gonna suffer some damage.
Yeah, but with it coming down at 30, the first one, lifesteal, basically irrelevant. It's the second one where he'd really like some lifesteal on to recover from this initial push of the Wolves. But more importantly, they're just Divine Shield 3/3s. You know, he's got 2 Corpse Takers. He needs to deal with 4 3/3s. Divine Shield 3/3s can theoretically take care of 2 each. So that's kind of that recovery mechanism that you were talking about.
Yeah.
And if Nalguidan does not respect the rest of his board here and go through with the full trades, then the Spike Ridge Steed punishes can really come into play.
Yeah, and that's to me is where Nalguidan's head's going to be at too. It's going to be about fighting for this board very aggressively. And so I'm looking at the death rattle here of plants and then being able to fight. I think there is some merits to where if he wants to ignore a board, that poisonous is an option he can go for.
Button gets pressed, let's get that out of the way, and now Nalguidan has to make the trading decisions. I think I want to see a full trade here. It's hard to like blinker the caster vision when you're staring at 2 Spike Ridge Steeds, but I think, you know, you have a very nice board. Your opponent has shown you no equality clear on the previous turn, so you probably feel like this board gets to stick around. You can play the long game for a little bit, I think. Nalguidan seems to agree, respects the Spike Ridge Steed, takes the trades, and now Bobbyex back to square one, really.
To me, this is where the turns start getting a bit awkward for Bobbyex, is where Nalguidan had pretty significant follow-up to the Spellstone as well. And that's going to continue with another Spring Pawn, another Flanking Strike. There's no shortage of fight left for Nalguidan. So Bobbyex here, this is where the heat gets put on, and it's the true test. And you tack a Hyena onto that as well, and you are looking at a real challenge. Now I'm worried for Bobbyex.
Yes. And it is time to go. Nalguidan definitely recognizing this immediately, that his opponent has shown no signs of that quality clear to come back against him. So now is the time to push as hard as you can, because this is your opponent's just raw Spike Ridge Steed from hand turn. 1 mana hero power, Spike Ridge Steed, get the job done.
Nalguidan has quite a push against that.
Yes, he does. Hyena takes care of it on its own, or the 2 wolves going through, or even Flanking Strike then to take care of the 2/6 afterwards.
Yeah, I think that's where this is going to come to that screeching halt, and suddenly things look a bit messier. Now, the thing about it, though, is that Nalguidan doesn't have to get through 1 Spike Ridge Steed. He's got to get through 2 to keep this damage going. Oh!
Ooh.
Woo! That's the juice.
It's lethal.
It's tack
right?
6 onto the Hyena, so yeah, that's lethal.
Yeah. Kill command, trade 1 wolf, Hyena goes to 10, trade the Razormaw and the other wolf into the 6 health taunt remaining. Hyena goes to 12, press hero power 14.
Well, the Hyena goes 14.
Does it?
Yeah, because this beast dies here.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I was trading with the 3/1 wolf initially, which is, yeah, suboptimal. So yeah, it's 2 over.
That's the same thing. That's actually more damage, I think. No, the hero power is more damage, isn't it?
They're all lethal.
Look, they all deal 14 plus.
You can't coin a Malagos here. Nalguidan's fine, okay? We're all good.
All right. Fair enough. Semantics. Pedantic semantic. You said it last week. That was our combo name.
Indeed.
We're starting a band. Nalguidan's up 1. Calm.
He definitely hasn't seemed overcome by the occasion. He didn't really have a great deal of agency in that first game that he came up against, to be perfectly honest. He just kind of played out his cards when he could. And with no answer to that Spellstone, as I was talking about just before the break, he was just kind of fighting a losing battle from the beginning. But he is going to go right back to the well on that even Paladin, whereas Nalguidan is going to cook up his Clone Priest in response.
This is a match that I feel like is so dependent on Nalguidan having the right cards to answer what Bobbyex is going to do. I'm seeing Corpse Taker in hand. That's always, I think, the key beatdown minion that you have in your deck, where even Paladin is concerned. But you want that buff as well.
Nalguidan holds on to Ziliax. He has 1 Witchwood Grizzly in his deck as well. Those 2 cards against the more aggressive decks are what Zale would refer to as the Uber Nuts in this scenario. If you can get one of those down on turn 5 and start rezzing, it's so difficult for any board-based deck to come back against it.
Yeah, that's been my experience playing with even Paladin as well. I'm like, I'm beating this priest. Oh, we rezzed it again.
Oh, a 3/12. Oh, a 3/12.
Yeah.
Oh, a Ziliax.
You only have so many times you can push through that.
This was the troublesome deck for Nalguidan last time we saw him on stream just a few hours ago. I referred to it kind of spuriously earlier. He did at one point appear to try and coin a Malagos that was hit with Freezing Trap up to 11 mana, which is a very strange mistake for a player of Nalguidan's caliber to make, but you can tell, I think he got very stressed in that scenario, because a little bit later on, I think he forgot that he had Shadow Form active as well. He kind of moused over to heal himself in the face, did catch that one, didn't end up doing it. But hopefully for his sake, and for any fans of his and Argentina, he puts in a better performance with the deck this time around.
Definitely a different style of matchup that he's in as well.
Oh, yes.
What is a loon's will?
This is largely about see threat, check threat, move on. I'm a tad interested in the Heal the Radiant Elemental. I feel like it's going to be hitting this Wild Pyromancer quite often anyway.
Yeah, it's reasonable.
is here.
I do think also, though, when you're on the Ziliax into Res Ziliax plan, that it's you're going to be healing up to 30 pretty rapidly yourself. This Corpse Taker not having Wind Fury is actually a huge win for Nalguidan right now.
It's such a good bit of information to get as well, where it's like, not only it's like, oh, it doesn't have Wind Fury, bonus. Ooh, they have a 6-mana 4/5 Wind Fury in their hand. Yes. And that's
imagine.
Yeah.
Imagine.
This would be just like, I think Nalguidan would just die if that was the case.
Yep.
This would be 14 this turn. The Ziliax would end up healing 3 total through a True Silver, and you take 14 more after that. So you're looking at 25 damage over 2 turns that would have been if Wind Fury Harpy was not in hand right now. It's one of the downsides of Mass Hysteria. There has to be other minions on board to fight.
Yep.
Or it's not much of a board clear.
Yeah, if you can just make one big minion go tall and narrow on your side of the board, it's one of the best ways to beat Mass Hysteria. This is just looking like a Ziliax, no attacks kind of turn to me. Seven more coming through behind this True Silver. It takes a lot of Ziliaxes to chew through that Corpse Taker.
It certainly does. And honestly, Bobbyex' hand being so heavy is not really a significant downside at the moment. In some ways, this is almost a benefit. The fact that Wind Fury Harpy is actually a pretty threatening reload in the face of like a Psychic Scream or a Shadow Word Death.
Yeah.
This is still actually quite difficult. I mean, you know, we talked about Corpse Taker, and pretty much by association, we mean that Wind Fury is part of it, but this is just a problem in general. One big thing early on. Without that Shadow or Death, it really struggles to be able to fight this adequately without taking heaps of damage. And the nature of Cloning Priest 2 is that a quality Avenging Wrath style things are always something you're going to be afraid of if you're on low life total.
Yes. But having said that, Nalguidan's still okay in terms of the not dying plan. He's used these Ziliaxes to find his way to turn 7 now, where, you know, Psychic Scream can be far more effective against the kind of boards that Bobbyex is generating than a Mass Hysteria would do. The problem he's going to have from this point forward is finding himself an actual win condition that comes quick enough to stop what even Paladin can do in terms of reload, because having now drawn both Radiant Elementals, that really downplays his burst potential if he's going for any, you know, Malygos Veil and burst combos later on.
So this means he's looking more for the just sustained defense and to grind out Bobbyex's cards in this matchup as a result? I
mean, very possibly, yes. It's he can still get there, don't get me wrong. Like, if he gets a, you know, decent pull with Malygos Veil and Dead in them now, then he can potentially still get there with the Mind Blast that he has, especially if he starts like Shadow Visioning Holy Smites to go alongside that.
I am really curious about this Gen Greymane right here, because this is a turn where Nalguidan really wants to Psychic Scream anyway.
Yeah.
And perhaps you're trying to force that, but you open yourself to Mass Hysteria in this spot as well.
It's true.
Like, there's not a question here. This is a clear to a 1/1 or nothing.
Has to keep his 1/1.
I guess it's because the Tarim follow-up or the Wind Fury Harpy follow-up that you're okay with this?
It is a question mark. It is for sure a question mark. You saw how much trouble your opponent had dealing with your 7/7, and it was only down to a 7/4 at that point. So even Nalguidan continuing to resurrect Ziliaxes would not have got the job done. There was 3 damage rush was not going to be enough. So it does feel like Bobbyex just fed Nalguidan a way to deal with his 7/4 there.
It's also just possible that, you know, with the way that the game is rolling out, you saw the first Radiant Elemental, you know the burst potential is gone.
Right.
Just force them to use AoE cards, and then over the course of time, because the hand is so heavy, lean on that.
Yeah, that's fair. Damn. Bobbyex is a magnet for Spike Ridge Steeds.
Reporting for duty.
Expect we're seeing a Tarim this turn, though, to deal with the Lich King.
Very interested in getting the 2/6 refunded immediately. Don't blame him.
Yep.
Damage equals damage. Nalguidan. He's not looking quite as comfortable as Bobbyex is. Pair of screams to start fighting this off, but there is a lot more fighting he's going to have to do. Lest he finds some strong draws from the top of this deck. Not the draw you want to see.
Bobbyex not going Lich King here.
Which I kind of like because of how threatening the Spike Ridge Steed is.
Okay.
You know, the way that Bobbyex has played this too, this could realistically be the final threat. This 4-5.
Yeah.
So perhaps Nalguidan's interested in using some more removal here. And that opens up Lich King. If Lich King sticks for 2 turns, that's really where Nalguidan is in major trouble. 2 Lich King draws is a nightmare.
What is a loon's will?
So the Xeric's drawn from Nalguidan. That is now, I believe, double Gargoyle, Mali, Velen, Obsidian statue.
So it needs coins for this to work with Mind Blasts.
Yes. Which he does not have.
This is the other thing, too. Grizzly comes down. Lich King matches that exactly. And suddenly Psychic Scream doesn't look as good. Now there's no Grizzly in that Resurrect pool.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way that Bobbyex has played this. I thought this is a really good pan out for him.
You like this extra 1-1? Because now I've got questions.
I'm not too worried about it, honestly.
You're not too worried about it. It's bad against Spirit Lash. It's bad against Psychic Scream. What's the upside?
Mass Hysteria, maybe? I don't know. The numbers at this point are going to be ridiculous on Mass Hysteria.
They are indeed, yeah. There are some very general rules that you can apply with Mass Hysteria, like an odd number of minions generally better for you as the defender against Mass Hysteria than an even number. If the minions are all equal sizes, if they're a big discrepancy in sizes, then that can flip on its head. But honestly, it does get to a point where there's just too many permutations to really worry about.
I wonder.
It's the variable minion sizing, too, that really puts into that difference. Nalguidan. Lich King is going to stick for a turn. Elixir Purity is Divine Shield.
Yeah.
So that is actually a really big deal for Nalguidan to hit that one, because that allows him to just sit back on this Grizzly here and start to, chew through this Lich King a little bit. Looks like he's going to start that immediately. Some amount of relief.
Yeah, I think the trade makes sense there, I think, the preemptive trade, because otherwise Bobbyex will get a free attack with Lich King of his choosing, plus a True Silver, plus a Consecration, plus a Death and Decay from the Lich King card, the first one, and then his Lich King lives and sits on the board and gets the second card. Whereas this way, if he does want to use the Lich King to clear, then it is going to have to die in the process.
Bobbyex eyeing the difference between Consecration, Avenging Wrath, Consecration, Spike Ridge Steed, and so on and so forth. Cool. This looks like play number 1 for me. This looks like play number 2, and then ship that 3 damage to face. And like I told you, if Lich King sticks for 2 turns, that could be really the bad news. Obliterate's not really the worst. And this would be Psychic. The second Psychic Scream has already been used. Is that correct?
I think so, yes.
So this is the hunt for Spellstone then.
What is a loon's will?
There it is.
Vivid Nightmare as well. There you see one of Nalguidan's little tech inclusions. I say tech. It's not necessarily core to the deck, but I guess it is kind of a tech card. It's more of an anti-control card that you put into the build because it increases your burst output when you go down like the Spellstone or the straight-up single res route. You can just res 1 Velen and then, or res 1 Mali or 1 Velen and then Vivid Nightmare them and just go off. Yeah.
The moment it sticks, you untap your mana, blast them.
Yup.
Bobbyex, it's a weak-looking turn, but the damage is starting to really pile up. I mean, you're looking at 15 more behind that Frostmourne, and then Shadow Word Death gets drawn. So it's cloning Gallery here, and then looking to get that Spellstone active, but This is a number of turns this is going to take.
There it is. Statue, Gargoyle, Velen Mali as described, but there is a consecration just to immediately destroy all of this. Not even going to get value out of the Obsidian statue because of just the 1/1 that's on the board. Lich King comes back into hand as well off the Psychic Screen.
I'm curious if there's any reason for Bobbyex to ever be generating minions behind this. You know, while he can. He had the option to get 1 minion locked into the Frostborn pool there and chose to be aggressive instead.
So there is a 6 minion pool for this Spellstone now, I believe. No, 7, including the Grizzly as well.
And it's not upgraded at all. It's 2 right now.
It's 2 minions. He does have the mana with the coins if he does hit the double spell damage buff to rip both the Mind Blasts, but that is super low percentage right now.
But, you know, maybe is that the best he's got right now? You know, if holding on to these coins really going to provide anything.
Can also use the coins to potentially buff the Spellstone to a 3 minion Spellstone instead.
Well, that's what I imagine. He heals first and then does that. Goes for 3 minions. And not the strongest one, but not the weakest one, I'd say. 2 Ziliaxes is a bit of defensive measure here.
Oh, that was a good line as well, because that way he could have hit a 1 spell damage guy plus a Radiant Elemental, and then you, with his 3 remaining mana, still gone 2 mana Vivid Nightmare to copy 1, and then gone off from there with the Mind Blasts. Gave himself additional combinations that would have done very powerful things by upgrading to the 3 minion Spellstone.
Bobbyex still with push potential here, though. Wild Pyro, Equality, and Avenging Wrath.
What would Uther do?
It's so close. Wait.
If he...
This is 1 off lethal if he does it this way, so it would be Equality into... No. So he's looking at pushing the...
If he just did,
I'm just confused.
If he just did Pyro Equality into Avenging Wrath, he was 2 off lethal, I believe.
So he's just going to use the Pyro for pressure then.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy.
They're in there.
That's not the easiest call to make. I mean, if you don't get a defensive measure off of this, like if you get Lyra Gilded Gargoyle from that.
I mean, what is your defensive measure? There isn't one. It's rip the Spellstone or concede.
The defensive measure is bad, is the problem. It's really bad.
And there is a game-winning outcome here as well. Velen and Mali are both in there. If he just nails both of them.
It's a percentage call at that point then. Can you draw a card often enough that increases your percent chance to win? Are you fading the damage from Bobbyx's side enough to win? Because the one defensive option Nalguidan has is to heal himself, Shadow Form, hit the Pyro, and wait. Wow.
Okay.
Now, the one benefit this does provide is that if Bobbyex does not, really follow up on this turn, it means Nalguidan gets to find himself upgrading the Spellstone. He wants to upgrade that Spellstone. I don't think he expected this one to come back.
Is there anything in this Frostmourne? I don't think there is, right? He's just been swinging face with it.
That is shipped for 15 damage, just how a Frostmourne should.
Yep. There's the confirmation, and Death and Decay for the 3 damage. It basically doesn't matter from here.
Nalguidan,
he needs Ziliax.
Yeah, he needs to get Ziliax heal. This upgrades the Spellstone. No Ziliax. And Nalguidan knows it's up to the Lich King at that point.
Yep, as if he can see his opponent's hand, just leans back in the chair. And it is going to be Death and Decay off the second Lich King card. Nalguidan knew that there were 2 more still to come, even after that Frostmourne build.
A loon give me strength.
And now we're going to settle into a nice, relaxing game of Quest Rogue. It's been a while for me, Admirable, but this is a deck that, over various points, I have been an enormous fan of and an enormous hater of. And I can't tell you which meta or which build of the deck like relates to which. It's seemingly at random, but sometimes I just connect with Quest Rogue and just jam 300 games in a row without switching, and sometimes I can't bear it.
Let's take a small trip down memory lane then.
Okay.
Shanghai 2016 or 2017.
Good deck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Immediately thereafter.
Bad deck.
Okay, and now the last week or so.
I mean, not on my radar, to be perfectly honest.
And that's exactly where a lot of players have sat as well. You know, when this deck was in its first iteration, it was insane. It was like one of the best decks that's ever been introduced to the game.
Right.
It's gone through 2 changes to try to lower its balance, and it's finally found that spot where it's like, okay, this is fine. It works.
Maybe we'll leave you alone for a while now.
It works. It's not overbearing all the time. It's just Quest Rogue.
Yep.
So 2 copies of Vanish Bobbyex finds off of Mimic Pod. Why can't I remember the name of this card anymore?
You did remember the name of the card?
I did.
Yeah.
I was like, Mimic Pod? I don't even remember this. So that's how long it's been.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is a very important card to this match in particular, because if Bobbyex just simply doesn't die, Vanish has really clogged down Nalguidan's burst onto the board and get to the next turn with lethal setups.
Yeah, there's a certain reckless abandon that Clone Priest has for their own minions that is sometimes kind of hard to pick up. I've seen multiple people like being coached in this deck or co-oping on stream to try and learn from a player with more experience. And there's always this turn that comes up where there's just a key minion in hand. One player will say, okay, we just slammed the whatever, the Lyra. And then the other guy will go, but it dies on board. And then the response is, well, good. We would like it to be dead. That is good for us. So if you have opportunities in your deck that can remove minions without killing them, either in Rogue Sense sapping them or banishing them back to hand, or in other cases transforming them so that they don't die outright, that is one of the best ways to disrupt this deck's game plan.
And so taking that into consideration for Bobbyex, is this really a matchup where he has the liberty of really disrupting what's going on, or is it just, step number 1 is Nalguidan fails to have a cloning gallery turn that kills you?
I mean, that's always step number 1 against this deck, yes, but like Bobbyex will look for the luxury, like perfect world, he can choose how the game goes. He would like to use a Vanish that progresses his quest, as well as removing some stuff from his opponent's board, right? Like double dip the Vanish.
Sonya.
But now, yeah, with the Sonya route, he kind of has the luxury to just be able to throw away the Vanish wherever he wants. And Nalguidan does not seem to be in a good place this series. He was very emotive in the last game. I spoke a little bit about some of his woes in the previous series as well, and he appears, at least in passing, to be giving up on this game very quickly as well, although I think we've all been playing Hearthstone long enough to know what Sonya means in Quest Rogue when it comes down this early.
It definitely is the key card to the deck, and something that really changed when Sonya got added to the mix was that Quest Rogue went from a deck that played a lot of bounces and had to really aggressively bounce minions and have sort of that same reckless abandon you were talking about by just trying to get one repetitive minion there and then hoping that you could kill your opponent. It went from having tons of charge minions and lots of little 1/1s to just being a deck that very mediocrely fights for board until it finds Sonya and unlocks that one big turn.
Right.
So when you have the Sonya early in the situation and you're against a deck that's not really pressuring you, that is like the 1-2 punch. I don't really blame Nalguidan for feeling like he's in a bad spot, but now's not the time to give up. We just found a Shadow Visions into a cloning gallery, and yeah, Malygos is in hand, but there's still some game here.
Yeah, Velen Double Radiant still in the pool. And he has already drawn 4 minions, I believe. Yes, he has at least. So he has a guaranteed outcome, a consistent outcome from his Xerx's cloning gallery. It's not the one he wants that just straight up kills his opponent, but it is something that he can rely on and build a game plan around at least. Q play from Bobbyex, throwing out the backstab on his own minion to get the rebuy from the Sonya, since Nalguidan quite rightly recognized that he was remiss to play minions there when his opponent had Sonya on board.
Look, it's gonna hurt, all right? This was an insane... Oh,
Yikes.
Goodness. Okay, now... Red alert. Red alert, they're at the door. He's got to scream this, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I think he has to.
This is a 3-mana minion and a 1-mana minion.
Right. He took the cloning gallery there. I believe he was offered a Spirit Lash, which I guess was something to think about when he has all these coins in hand along with Malagos. That's a huge board swing if you can get a like Mali coin Lash against a huge board state. And then with Spellstone in hand as well, which has been upgrading along the way since he's had it early. Maybe drawing Velen and Malagos isn't the worst thing in the world if you can just get them dead and then res them back with the Spellstone.
So the one thing that I'm finding for Nalguidan here is that Bobbyex, Elven Minstrel, failed to actually find a charge minion. And that's a big deal. That buys Nalguidan heaps of time where this is concerned. You can see the Tech Sap in Bobbyex's hand as well. That's one that started, I saw, creeping into Quest Rogue inclusions recently, and it was a choice I really liked because one of the major struggles I've had with this deck is my opponent gets to a spot where I need to push through one big taunt minion, and I'm thinking Void Lord specifically, but in this case, the Obsidian Statue works. Pushing through it for 2 mana and then having the rest of your mana to actually develop or push has been a major deal for this deck, and since the aggressive meta has slowed down so much, that's one of the reasons I felt like it was primed for this weekend.
Yeah, I think the last time we really saw Sap as core in the list was when Void Lord was active late, right?
The Southsea deckhand gets drawn! And that's just lethal.
Is that enough with the bounces? Yes,
yeah.
He only needs 2 additionals for the 20 plus the 1 from the dagger. The tech inclusion of that Sap is going to carry Bobbyex over to a 2-1 lead. Nalguidan just did not find the time to get anything going. His seemingly preemptive well played was in fact right on the money because since that Sonya came down, Nalguidan just had no chance of recovery.
Wow. Sonya is a heck of a card. Distinct as far as seeing it come up in matches has been concerned.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It was the business for quite some time in terms of Hunter decks, and when we saw some other cards getting nerfed, we really felt like Death Rattle Hunter was going to run wild at first, but it was the these more aggressive hunters, the mid-range hunter, the spell hunter, and the hybrid hunter that really came much more popular in recent times. So yeah, Bobbyex just with a little interesting spin of his own, bringing the Death Rattle Hunter back from the depths in his predominantly anti-control lineup.
Not quite the start he's looking for in this one, but yeah, anti-control is the major theme of the deck that's going on here. And typically you're staring at a pair of flanking strikes and wondering what on earth you're going to do with them against some of these combo decks. And you're still going to wonder that. You pick up a Devil's Door Egg right away. And keep it going. But I don't necessarily feel like this is the best matchup in the world for Bobbyex.
I can see why you would say that for sure. Again, this is a deck on the Paladin side that I don't personally have huge experience with, and Death Rattle Hunter has not been in vogue recently, so the exact specifics of this matchup do escape me, but I can definitely see Paladin just being able to last long enough to get through their deck and get the job done.
I will say that the lack of board clear available for Nalguidan right now is one of the major factors. I feel like if Nalguidan has adequate board clear, is able to get some amount of minions on board to fight with, and maybe pop a Death Rattle right before he goes for a big equality clear, that's really the spot where I think he can be in a favorable position. And there's the first equality. And now you're looking for Consecration or a Wild Pyromancer to pair with that. So overall, I feel like Nalguidan is in a pretty solid spot, all things considered.
Yeah, and I like the way that he's played this, just playing out whatever nonsense minions were available in his hand, because stuff like this, like board objective cards that are small in stature, like Blood Mage, like Crystal Smith Kangor, and of course with Taunt, Righteous Protector, they're a nightmare for Death Rattle Hunter to deal with, because they don't do 1 and 2 damage to things. They do 5, 8, 7 damage to things at a time. That's what they deal with. So it ends up being very inefficient a lot of the time for Hunter to have to deal with any of this nonsense.
Yeah, the one real card that ends up dealing with this kind of stuff is, Candle Shot early on, or Deathstalker Rexar in 6.
Yeah.
And oftentimes you're not willing to necessarily give up that tempo to make those kinds of plays. Now, this is the kind of stuff you want to be doing. You want to be cubing up eggs, making some scrambles, and eating little 1-1s for breakfast.
Yep.
Wait, no, not that part. You want to be eating face for breakfast. There we go. The minions are supposed to go face, not to 1-1s. 1-1s, that's the bad spot that you just said they were going for, because they're 5s and they're 6s and they're 8s.
Wait, you eat 1-1s for breakfast?
You know it, brother. Uh-oh. Oh! Well, that combo's gone.
Yep.
And
R.I.P.
when I was playing this matchup earlier, I wasn't too worried about that. I was playing a little bit of this deck backstage because I wanted to get just some of the basics down. What am I generally trying to tailor my matchup to do?
Right.
And play all the little tiny minions and draw heaps of cards was a major part of every single plan I was developing.
Good start, yeah.
So the Holy Wrath being stuck at 25 for the rest of the game, I don't think is the worst, because I think Nalguidan's game plan is more revolving around precious use of timeout in combination with Uther to sustain just long enough to get to the 4 Horsemen.
Yeah, I actually completely agree. I actually think the more important side of that deal is that Nalguidan got a 0-mana Shivala this early in the game. That could potentially be huge, because he already has Zola and Brewmaster in hand. So I think that's actually a pan-out for him that actually went very, very well.
Yeah, it's not the greatest, I'd say, but it's not the worst.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the Holy Wrath in this matchup is often going to be serviced as a a tool that simply discounts your Shivala anyway.
Yeah.
Truth is found in death.
It's 5-5 time.
It's 5-5 time, and there is a lot of heat coming out after this. Now the Bobbyex managed to track into the Kathrena. You saw on the previous turn, just in a timely fashion, as we were talking about how annoying it is for Hunter to deal with small 1-1s and 1-2s, he had the opportunity to just coin Rexar and nuke the board and deal with all that annoying nonsense in one go, but he valued keeping his coin, because even without Kathrena in hand, he knew how powerful an early Kathrena was, and he ends up getting rewarded for holding onto that coin.
Reporting for duty.
Now we'll go down to about 11 cards in deck. But the coin Kathrena, this is the turn that you're looking for.
Ooh.
Devilsaur is the 4th beast that is included in this deck. 2 Witchwood Grizzlies, a charged Devilsaur, and a King Crush as the minions. But one of the big benefits I think that Nalguidan has from this game so far is that one of the cubes has just been used.
Yeah.
I think that is a major detail when taking into account the grand scheme of things. And my instinct was that Nalguidan would not be interested in using Shrink Ray until the Kathrena was going to die, and he could follow up with Shivala.
That doesn't leave him with too many options this turn, though.
I think that's okay. I mean, you're only staring across at 5 damage.
Well, if you weren't going to use the Shrink Ray, I mean.
If you weren't going to use the Shrink Ray, you'd be using a timeout, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's way too much damage on the other side. And there is one of the reasons that Shrink Ray can be so valuable. But Nalguidan has his game back behind this. You know, a pair of timeouts, a Shivala in hand, a Zola, and a Brewmaster. There's still time for him to make a reasonable recovery here and still fight in this game. I'm noticing a lack of Wild Pyromancer and Consecration cards, though. And does he actually have any more 1-attack minions left in the deck?
You like my invention?
Blood Mage Kangor, Righteous Protectors.
Yeah, he played both Righteous,
Played
right?
both Novice as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that Crystology in hand actually is doing nothing.
Wow.
It's 2 mana. Spell.
What would Uther do?
Does it look like Nalguidan wants to send Bobbyex to the naughty step this turn, instead of going for his Shivala bounce back, which seems reasonable. There is a lot of issues to deal with the eggs still in 1-1 form.
Yeah, like this play a lot. This sets up the Shivala to actually make an impact,
Right.
which I very enjoy.
Oh, how Master Sure, it's been a while.
It's just such a shame to you that 100 decks are not playing that right now.
Yep.
I love Death Rattle Hunter personally. This is my jam.
Bobbyex continuing to protect both of his eggs, not trading either of the 1-1 eggs into the Novice Engineer.
Very wise, I think. I think it's the one way that Nalguidan really gets out of the game safely is if the eggs are vulnerable to a consecration turn. I'm sorry, to an equality turn.
Does he need both?
Why not? You got enough attack on board to threaten lethal.
I mean, you've got to know there's a Shivala coming pretty soon, right? Yep.
Did Nalguidan not know that? I mean, there's a wild pyro in hand. That Crystology suddenly didn't do nothing. It did something.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to test your metal.
Such a perfect specimen.
And I do question the protocol here. Is it more about having Shivalas in hand, or do you want some of them in play and to have an extra Zola here or there? And can you even afford to use another bounce?
Is a much better question, yeah, because now that's one Brewmaster and the Zola used, leaving you just with a Brewmaster and a Baleful Banker in your hand. You've used that. I mean, the Holy Wrath is dead. It's been cycled up to 25 mana, so that you can't go along that line. And you're down to 6 cards in deck against a potential deck with Deathstalker Rexar that can just fatigue you out of the game.
I'm not convinced about this Brewmaster being used now, because now there's only 2 ways to put a Horseman into hand. Is that correct?
Yep.
And if that's the case, what that means is the push is very real that's happening, and you have to stick a 2/2 to the board for a turn. That is also unique to that 4 Horseman pool.
Oof, that was one of the quickest Zombeasts I have ever seen taken in my life.
I didn't even see it take it.
Yeah.
I'm actually worried that this might have been a blunder from Nalguidan to use that Brewmaster, because I don't see how he actually wins the game from this point now.
Reporting for duty.
How on earth is he going to stick a 2/2 to the board against Death Rattle Hunter? That's not how that works. There's quite literally 6 answers in hand to a 2/2 right now. Immediate, not like you challenge it. Now, to that same effect, how do you win without a backup Shivala? Uther hasn't even shown up yet.
Yeah.
There's still an equality in the deck somewhere.
Right.
This isn't getting the job done.
Just to confirm, it is just the one Holy Wrath list from Nalguidan. If he was playing a second copy, that could go some way to explain his thinking. There's just a second copy of Holy Wrath that he was going to pull out and then give him the Shivala Baleful Banker strategy back. But no, it is a single copy in the list. I'm sure RDU is somewhere on Twitter telling you I told you so.
The number of times I've seen him swap Shivala and Holy Wrath.
Yeah.
Which path to choose?
This isn't going to work.
It looks like Nalguidan is looking at a Pyromancer clear here. In which case, he'll have to go Pyro Timeout first, because if he goes Pyro Consecration, then he's going to kill the Spider Bomb. It's just Timeout pass in the end. Yeah, I think he started to realize some of the same things I was about to talk about, that the sequencing of the Pyro turn there just did very awkward things with the Spider Bomb. Just didn't really get anything effective built. How quick is Bobbyex at picking his beasts? Give us a chance, buddy. Come on. Boulder Fist Ogre, Lifesteal Rush.
I've just been looking at Nalguidan's face this whole time, and it is not confidence.
Both timeouts gone. Divine Shield in the way of Lifesteal.
can he use enough Chevaliers? Is that, you know, perhaps is that ever an idea? I can't
Don't think so.
I mean, with Rexar Online, I just can't see that ever being the case.
Right. (22, 12, 16, 17, 18 showing. 4 damage from Zombeasts.
Yeah, those all say rush, not charge.
Yep.
Life Drinker.
That's 3. No. Hope I counted this right now.
You did.
Okay.
Oh, the magnetic! He can magnetic the Spider Bomb!
Yes, the Spider Bomb. Spider Bomb plus
Life
Life
Drinker
is going to get the job done. Yes, it is. Good spot, Mr. Admirable. That is going to be Bobbyex sealing the deal with the rapid fire Builder Beast. That man knew what he wanted. And it was some Lifesteal Rush Beast. It was a Life Drinker, and it was a spot at the Winter Championships, and he got all of those.